What's up, Alphas? Analytical Alpha here, and today we are going to talk about how to convince/educate your family to allow you to have a motorcycle. Now, I say educate for a very specific reason. Most people, the reason why they're so against motorcycles is because they go on just based on what they hear. Obviously, the only thing you hear about motorcycles is we die all the time, or we're all douchebags. Pretty much we die because we're being a douchebag. You know, something to that category. A lot of it is just based on ignorance in the nicest way possible. Everybody is ignorant to motorcycles at one point in time. Looking at about educating them. Lesson number 1, educate yourself. Educate yourself before you go into any type of details in regards to other people. The only way that you are going to be convincing in a selling point is the fact that you have already thought about a majority of the questions that they're going to have. You have to be mentally prepared for it. Show whoever you're trying to convince that you need a certain type of motorcycle as opposed to what you want. As a teenager, it's actually very easy. A legal dirt bike style that's only like a 250. And the reason why that's going to be probably pretty convincing is because they can take the most damage if you were to fall or drop it or anything of that nature. So you're not looking at crazy repair costs. They're the cheapest to replace. In the simple fact of if you were to break a fender or anything like that, you're looking at like a lot cheaper to replace in general. For the most part, they're the cheapest to start off on. So you can probably get a 250 for roughly $2,000 to $3,000 depending on if it's brand new as opposed to used. And basically as your first motorcycle, you basically only need it to go to school and back. Obviously you're going to want to do other stuff with it. You're basically using that as a convincing factor. How much is it going to cost? How are you going to pay for that cost? Because the easiest thing a parent can say is, I don't have the money. 100%. You can have every bit of convincing factor whatsoever. All they have to do is, I don't have the money. And you automatically lose. So, whether that means you ask them to buy you a broken down one, or one that obviously doesn't work anymore, and you kind of teach yourself a little mechanically inclined scenario about getting that thing from scratch to build back up, that's a little bit more okay in a parent's mind. It's obviously not going to cost as much. They don't have to worry about thinking about their baby growing up today. You're trying to educate yourself, and it's actually going to make you a better rider overall because you know your bike in and out. So once you actually have the bike, it's going to be kind of unrealistic for them to say, no, you can't ride it. So educate yourself. Gear, how much everything's going to cost, and I'll do a general consensus about what I have specifically, what it cost me. Now it's time to educate to convince. So this is whoever you have to educate. So this would be your parents or your spouse, whoever you have to educate. Basically already be prepared for what they're going to say. Use whatever you can to your advantage. Kids, if you need a motorcycle, or if you really want a motorcycle, take away what you want and figure out what you need. For the motorcycle itself, you've already taken a motorcycle safety course. That's probably one of the most convincing factors, especially when you go with it to your convincing. So if you've already taken the motorcycle safety course without them knowing, you've already paid for it, taken it, passed it, got proof, and already have your driver's license updated to where you can officially ride a motorcycle. That is probably one of the most convincing factors there are. It's really, really, really hard to tell someone no when they've already proven themselves that they know enough to at least be safe on the road. So it kind of helps dim down that safety factor a good bit. Now realistically, everyone should be smart enough to know it's really not the rider 90% of the time. Most of the times it's the people around them. But if the rider has already taken a safety course, they've taken the time and taken the adulthood of educating themselves as to how to better prepare for people on the road, such as how to be looking for things ready to kind of get you, such as little things like this. I don't know what that is. I don't want to know what that is. Finalize it yourself. Already have the money for a motorcycle, either a used one, a new one, or one that's broken down. Whatever route you want to go that you feel is the most convincing. For $1,500 roughly, you can have a whole new lifestyle. That's probably the main thing. It changes your life, guys. I mean, it really does. I mean, your mind changes, your safety net changes, your mentality changes, just everything changes. You enjoy the world and the views a whole lot better because you're out here and about. But yeah, it definitely changed my life. I mean, 100%. I just came across so much research about that, how it helps you personally, your mental state, how relaxing it is, how calming it is. And man, it helped me out so much. This is how much it helped me out, guys. Now I'm saying it may not affect you the same way, but if it could help me, I don't see why it couldn't help almost anyone. Because I'm telling you, I've been a whole nother level of stress my whole life. Again, I went to 2 years of research, got the motorcycle. Wife was completely against it, 100%. 100%. She did not want me to have a motorcycle. But at this point, I already had everything kind of convinced enough to where it's, you know, basically it's really hard to say no, because you can clearly tell it's a more convincing factor. I already had all the finances figured out. I've got all the usage figured out, such as I was driving an F-150, getting like 17 miles per gallon, and I drive 40 minutes to work and then 40 minutes back home every day, as opposed to 300, they get 70 miles per gallon. There's just a huge difference there. But for me, once I got the bike, I'd say it took only about 2 months. 2 months, and my wife was actually mentioned, she never wanted to be on a motorcycle. She knew she would never be on a motorcycle with someone. 2 months later in, and she states that whenever I'm ready to move up, she's gonna probably take this from me. I was blown away. And the reason that is that she could tell how much happier I was. I was genuinely so much happier. And whenever we were riding around, if she was in her car and I was on my motorcycle and we met up somewhere due to meeting up after work, something like that, and she see me just doing my zigzaggy, just having my little fun, it was such a high level of purity that she saw from me, so much happiness that she saw from me. She literally went to absolutely hating the concept of me being on the bike to even her trying it herself. You're talking about a whole nother level, guys. So yes, it's worth attempting to convince whoever you got to convince. It's definitely worth it. Because I mean, I'll never go back. There'll never be a time to where I'm not riding a motorcycle you know, for some reason. Now I'm going to do my best to ride it as long as I can as my main mode of transportation. Now I do have plans on getting different bikes, obviously, and I already have a mindset about what route I want to go, and those are going to be better for me in a longer sense. My idea for this one was keep her for about a year, maybe 2 at max, make sure it's 100% paid off. Once it's paid off, basically use it, sell it. That's what the goal was. At least the goal was to sell it and then use that money as a down payment to get a bigger motorcycle. Now I don't know what I'm gonna go. I don't know if I'm gonna sell it. I don't know if it's gonna go to the wife. I'd love for it to go to the wife, and you know, we ride together. That'd be great. But regardless, it's gonna have to be 100% paid off before I do anything new, because everything else after this is just a want. This fulfills all my needs. All right, guys, I'll see you on the flip side. Well, then Oh my gosh, come on. Really, dude?